up, I always watched NASCAR with my dad. It's like one of my best memories. Going down to the racetracks in Phoenix or Montana or something. I always loved watching NASCAR, and we always watched history shows about NASCAR as well. And I think that's one of the reasons I loved it so much. So maybe after you guys learn about NASCAR a little bit, you guys might be a little more interested. But since it started, NASCAR has like changed from its simple roots to be more inclusive, safe, entertaining, to get where it is today. So it started in the 40s, as some of you might have heard, by moonshiners during Prohibition, trying to get away from the cops. The first race was in 1949, and Junior Johnson, who's a super famous NASCAR driver, said in an article called Uneasy About Alcohol in 2008 by Peter Carlson that all your good dirt track drivers were involved in moonshine. So NASCAR was built because of the Prohibition. Fast forward a few years to 1979, and you get probably the most important race in history. A Sports Illustrated article in 1998 described the 1979 Daytona 500. It was the first televised race that was televised in its entirety. And because of that race, I think NASCAR is where it is today. The article described how on the last lap, Kelly Yarborough and Donnie Allison got in an accident. That Richard Petty, who's like the king of NASCAR, to win. And on that last lap, Kelly Yarborough and Donnie Allison got into a fight, which boosted the ratings like crazy, and really made it a national sport instead of just a southern sport. So that was the wreck involving this fight, and that's probably the most iconic NASCAR moment. Backtrack a few years. I think it's important that every sport has some diversity. Baseball is Jackie Robinson, and everyone knows his story. NASCAR is a little bit different. Wendell Scott was NASCAR's first African American driver to win a race, but it was clouded in controversy. In 1963, he won at Jacksonville Raceway, but even after he won the race, it was given to the second place driver until the next day where he was finally awarded the win to avoid controversy. So Mobility as Anti-Racism Works in 2016 by Alderman Inwood described how Wendell Scott has worked through the many both racist fans and racist drivers to get where he is today. He doesn't have as many like stats as like Richard Petty or many of the famous drivers, but he still was new. He was innovative. He changed NASCAR, made it more inclusive. Jackie Robinson happened in the 40s, but this happened in the 70s or 60s, so it was a little later. And that makes me want to bring up some more stereotypes about NASCAR. I know when you guys think about NASCAR, a lot of people think about like the typical Southern white guy. I'll be honest, you aren't a true NASCAR fan until you've been to a race and a drunk redneck with a monster spilled a Budweiser all over you. So doing more research on this kind of made it more interesting. I always assumed like 90% of NASCAR fans are like Republican. But according to Understanding Fandom in NASCAR by Thomas Mueller in the International Journal of Motorsport Management, only 44% of NASCAR fans call themselves Republican, and 22% call themselves Democrat. The rest are independent or they don't care about politics. And that came as a surprise to me because I assumed with the Southern roots and the stereotypical NASCAR fans that they'd be much more heavily Republican, especially since Trump has sponsored trucks and NASCAR has openly supported Trump and other Republican candidates. So fast forward a few more years, we hit 2001 Daytona 500, which is probably an equally as important race as the 1979 Daytona 500 for a much different reason. Sadly, because of that wreck, Dale Earnhardt, which is probably one of the most famous NASCAR drivers, passed away. Lars Anderson described the accident in his 2011 article in Sports Illustrated that completely changed NASCAR. Like, because Dale Earnhardt is like Joe Montana of NASCAR. Like, you guys have heard of Joe Montana. He's like the guy in football. But him passing away changed NASCAR. After that, ratings started to drop because no one cared as much. He had probably half the fans. And it completely changed NASCAR. But because of that wreck, NASCAR really began to focus on safety. Uh, so they have roof flaps on the car now, so it prevents it from going airborne. They have better safety harnesses. If you remember the picture of Wendell Scott, there's not very much safety there, but now they have tons of safety inside the car. Um, and also in the 2017 article, because they're still focusing on safety, Mike Hembry wrote in NASCAR Cracks Down on the Turn After Wreck about how they're still making changes. So since 2017, they eliminated cars with damage. They can't go back on the racetrack after they fix it. They've also added more doctors on the track, and they also added safer barriers, which are those right there, like foam walls, and that really makes it a lot safer when cars hit the wall. Also, NASCAR has changed a lot of the rules. Like if you look at the sport 20 years ago, it's a completely different sport. So I know if you guys don't know much about NASCAR, you don't know what I'm talking about, but they used to start single file and they started double file now, which means they start side by side, and that makes it a lot more interesting. They also have a lot more rules and modifications for the car that they can alter, so that makes it more equal for different teams. Because it used to be like you'd have 3 or 4 cars that would win pretty much all the races. Now it's more equal for the teams. And probably the biggest change in the most recent years was that they have playoffs now. And when I talk to my friends about this, like, how does NASCAR playoffs? So they do it a little bit differently. They start with 16 drivers in the last 10 races. After 3 races, 4 drivers get kicked out, and so on, until the last race, where it's out of those 4 cars, whoever finishes highest wins the championship. So all of these things are done because NASCAR has been declining. So the Brian France, the CEO, is trying to make NASCAR more interesting. So they're continuously trying new things to make NASCAR more entertaining. However, as you can see by this graph, it hasn't been working in recent years. See, in 2014, about 5.3 million viewers watched per race, as opposed to last year, we're about 4.3 million watched, according to an ESPN article called The Average Viewership of NASCAR in the US from 2014 to 2017 by Nielsen. You can see that it's been steadily declining in the past few years. And that's sad because you can see it as a NASCAR fan. Uh, there's teams shutting down. Brad Keselowski Racing is a big team shut down. The championship driver of last year, he's shutting down. Drivers are retiring, like the big name drivers are retiring, and it's really making people lose interest in the sport. So in conclusion, NASCAR has changed from being chased by cops to legally racing. It's been changed from being racist to more accepting. It's been changed from being dangerous to much more safe. And these new rules to try to make it more interesting and to keep it from thriving still isn't working and it's still struggling. But even though NASCAR is struggling, it has a rich history and tons of interesting fans that are dedicated to the sport